Hello friends. I had been working on Python and in context to database, I often make use of PostgreSQL. Now Postgres comes with a very popular IDE that is called pgadmin, but we are not very often familiar with the PostgreSQL commands. So I thought to make one explicit video where I would be mentioning a wide range of commands that have very frequently been asked in different interviews. So let's get into this. On the right hand side I have got the default terminal by the OS, and on the left hand side I have got pgadmin. Let's expand the server, and over here I have got, it is asking me to enter the password. Let me enter the password, and here it comes with a default database called Postgres. So whenever you install PostgreSQL you will get a default database. So even if you click over here you can check out the default database, that is Postgres, and there is one more database called template1. These two often will be associated with the installation of Postgres. Now how do I get into the PostgreSQL command? For that reason we have got a very beautiful utility that is called PostgreSQL, and if you want you can check the version also. Yes, it is successfully connected with the Postgres. So now let's log into it with the help of psql -u in uppercase, and there is a default user by the name called Postgres. Now we know this, but after I hit the enter you will be seeing something like this. Now what is this all about? Majority of people would think that this is the username, but in reality it is not so. And you will find over here a symbol called hash. What does this denote? So these two things are a very important question to start with. Well, let me log out from this. Yes, I am logged down. Let me clear the screen. So let me log back again, but this time I will write one more attribute as -d. -d stands for database, and there is a database called Postgres which you are actually seeing right on the left hand side. So now the command goes like this: there is a user by the name called Postgres, and also there is a database by the name called Postgres. And now if I hit the enter, this particular term Postgres, what you see is actually the name of the database, not the username. But the user Postgres has a super admin privilege, super user privilege. For that reason this hash symbol is there. So the hash symbol denote that the Postgres user is a super user. Well, you can see the detail about this with the help of the flag called /display_user. Look over here, there is a user called Postgres, and that user has got a super user privilege. So far so good, isn't it? So initially we have to log as super user because super user has the privilege of creating other users. So why don't we create a new user? Yes, let's do that. So the command would be create user. Let's give the username as test user with password, and put the password within single quote. Suppose test pass. I hit the enter. See, create role. So a new role got created. So again if I fire the command display user, this time you will see a new role got created by the name called test user. So test user is actually the username. Okay, so the following command created a new user called test user with the following password called test password, and we can see right over here. That's great. Since we are logged in as a super user, the super user has the permission to create database as well. So currently how many databases are there? Let's see that one. So /l to show you the list of databases that are present by default. So these three databases are going to be provided by Postgres by default. Apart from that, super user has the privilege to create a new database as well. Okay, so let's create a new database. So the command goes is create database and let's give the database name as by book underscore db semicolon. I hit the enter. Yep, database got created successfully. Let's check out /l and look over here. A new database by the name called bookdb got created. So initially in my PG admin that was not there, but I believe now if I refresh it, and here it comes. So far so good. So look over here, as I'm creating the database through my psql, automatically those things are reflected in my PG admin. Not only that, if you click over here also, you will find the database book by book underscore db is also applicable right over here. Okay, so as you can see over here, the by book database is under the jurisdiction of the owner Postgres, because after all the Postgres is the super user, right? So now what I can do is, right now I'm logged in as Postgres and I'm working on the Postgres database, but I can do the other way around also. Well, what I mean is, let's quit from this and let's clear the screen. Now I will log in as psql, the username let it be Postgres, but the database is going to be different. -d, and the database is which we have created just now is called by book underscore db. I hit the enter. Look over here, the database is now different. Since I have logged as Postgres, which is a super user, that's the reason the hash symbol is still present. Okay, so far so good. Now comes the question that since I have created the database, but the user which I have created, did we align that user with this particular database? What I mean to say is that, do the user has the privilege to get into this? The answer is no. The user which I have created, test user, has got no such privilege to connect to the database. So let's assign that privilege. Grant all privileges, be careful about the spelling, privileges, on database. So here you need to write the database name, that is called by book underscore db, to the user called test user. So once I fire this command, what happens is now the user, test user, can connect to this database. Okay, so keep it in mind, user need to connect to the database, like the way when I'm logging in. So what I'm doing over here, this user is connecting to this database, right? So once I have this grant privilege command, then only the user, next time I will log in as test user, will be able to connect to the database by book underscore db, because the grant all privileges has been given. So all privilege over here stands for connection. This is one of the privilege. Okay, other privileges are also there, but connection is the one which is what I am more it's more valuable for me. Okay, I'm more interested on this. Now connection is enough. Well, yeah, you connect, but I need to create table as well, right? And that brings us to another important thing. See, right now this database does not have any tables. If I expand it, if you come to the schema, you will find there is a option called public. Well, did you ever wonder what this particular public means? Okay, let me explain it in this way. In everyone's house, we have got something like cabinet. Think about a cabinet like a database. Okay, a cabinet, just assume a cabinet like a database. Inside cabinet, what we have got different drawer where we keep our material, right? Now imagine this drawer to be like a schema, and one such drawer by default is named as public. So inside this public, you are supposed to create the table. Okay, so that means there is a cabinet, and the cabinet has got drawer. These drawers are called schema, and one such drawer name is called public, within which you are supposed to create table. So I need to have the permission to access the schema public so that I can create a table, right? Follow my statement. Grant create on schema public to test user, semicolon. What does this command means? It means that the user test need to have a permission to create table on the schema name public. As you can see right over here, the public is a schema. So the public schema is there by default, and the test user is given the permission to create table inside this schema whose name is called public. So this command will allow the user test to create table inside the public, otherwise you cannot create the table. Okay, now creating the table is enough. Well, to some extent yes, but after creating the table you have to perform different SQL queries, and that brings us to the next command, that is called grant all on schema, schema, and the schema is called public to test user. What does this do? Grant all means insert, update, select, with where condition, alter, all those SQL queries all on the schema public. So since you are going to fire your table on the schema public, so for that reason this command is very important. Okay, so you have to give these three commands one after the other. So let me tell you one more time. This command will allow you to connect to the database bookdb. After connecting the database, you are allowed to create table, and after creating the table you are allowed to perform all the different type of SQL queries. Fine, so far so good, right? So since I am able to connect to the database, test user is able to connect to database bookdb, so I must log out from the user Postgres, and I would try to connect to the test user so that really can I create table. Okay, so let me log out. So /q is for quit, and now I would love to log in as Postgres, so as the user called test user, and the database is -d, and that is called by book underscore db. Okay, see, now look over here. Few minutes ago we had got a hash symbol, and I said that this hash symbol denotes that Postgres is a super user, whereas test user is not a super user. For that reason we don't have any hash, rather we have the greater than symbol. So this denotes the privilege of the user who is currently active. Okay, so far so good. And as you can see over here, the by book is the name of the database. So now my first thing would be to check out whether I can actually create any table or not. Okay, so well, is there an existing table present? /dt will show me if there is any table present or not. Table is also known as relation, is a synonym term. So no, there is no table right now present, and that's the reason why if I refresh this, and if I refresh it, and if I come to the public, and if I go to the table, I don't find a table right over here, isn't it? Because I need to create a table. So let's create a table. It's a very nice command, create table, and let's give the table name as books. And here I'm supposed to write the attribute, suppose book underscore id, and this is going to be auto increment, so it will be serial, one after the other it will come, and I want it to be a primary key. Okay, so by book underscore db is a serial and a primary key. I need to give a book a title which is of type var_char, and within bracket the character size is 200, and I have to give a value. I cannot keep it empty, so it's a not null. And then I need a published date, right, when the book got published. So published date has to be there, and there has to be price, and price is of data type numeric, and isn't not number, it's a numeric, 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 and the like it would be in a whole number, and there can be a floating point also. So let's be like a whole number and a floating point as well, and I can apply a constraint as well, so that the price should be greater than 0, right? So price should be greater than 0, and I put a semicolon right over here. Let me show you that. Yes, and now I hit the enter. See, the table got created successfully. Wow, great. Now I can give the command /dt, and here I can see there is a table. Look over here how nicely it is showing. The table got created inside the schema called public, and that's what I stated, right over here. So first I said that the test user need have the permission to connect to the database. After connecting, it should have a permission to create table, and since this permission was given right over here, so the user can create the table that is called book. and it is of type table. And who is the owner? Now the owner is called test user. So let me refresh this particular schema, and I believe now we will be able to see the book. Here it comes. So far so good. Few minutes ago there was no table, and now it is showing there's a table. And if I expand it, it will also show you all the columns, I mean all the attributes. So these are the attributes which I mentioned over here, right? Okay, great. So I saw like I showed you how to create a table. Now comes all means I can insert a record inside this. So let me fire insert query so that I can like right now, if I go and if I come over here, if I come to the book, if I go and click on the view, of course there is no data available. See, nothing is there, it's blank, completely blank. So let me fill the data now, because I have also got this particular privilege. That means the user test user can apply all the different type of SQL queries over the database by book, which contains a table, I mean the table name called books within the database called by book. Okay, so the query goes like this: insert into the name of the table is called books, and I have got 4 attributes, but out of which I have got 3 compulsory attributes. So there will be an attribute called title, there is an attribute called published, and there is an attribute called price. So these 3 attributes I have to give values. I have to give values on them, right? So let me give the book name as Alchemist. It's one of my favorite book, and I love reading this book. Each time I do, I come across new concepts. So the Alchemist, and let's have a publication date like 1988. I don't know, but I'm just choosing arbitrarily April, and on 15th. Okay, and the price would be somewhat like $5.99. I put a bracket and I put a semicolon, I hit enter. See, 1 record got inserted successfully. 1 means record insertion has been done successfully. So let me come over here and let's reload this and see over here. Bingo! Just see, with the help of this insert command, I have been able to insert data successfully, and you can see it inside your PG admin. So all these 3 commands, how valuable was it, isn't it? So you are able to successfully connect, you are able to create table, and you are able to fire all the SQL queries. And you are seeing right now one of the SQL queries, so I hope you can understand the rest of the other stuff, right? And we also saw that this book has been assigned to the following user, right? Well, I can show you one more command which is very handy at times. Suppose the dn/dn plus, it shows you, actually it shows you that there is like public. But see, this is very important here in the concept of schema. That this schema concept is very important. So this is a public schema, and there is already a user database owner. But what I want is, like, suppose if you see over here, the test user is having the privilege to use and connect, but what I want is, like, I want to allocate this permission not to the default Postgres database owner, rather I want to allocate it to test user. Okay, so that it has a complete authority. The test user has a complete authority. Right now the PG database owner is having the privilege. So instead of doing that, I can perform a change in the schema. So I will go for alter schema, and I want which schema? It is of the public schema. So alter, the schema name is called public, and the owner I want to change the owner to test user. So owner to test user. Okay, semicolon, and I hit must be the owner of schema public. Okay, I am doing this from the user perspective, but if I do it, I believe, from the super user, I think this command can work. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me quit from here and let me clear the screen. And let's log in once again as psql hyphen user, and the username is Postgres, and the database, let it be by book underscore db, semicolon. Okay, great so far. Now let's try the same command which I have. So again, /dn plus. So as you can see over here, the public is having the schema public has been owned by this. So now let's try to find the same command which I just did. What I wrote is alter schema, the name of the schema is public. I want to give the ownership to test user. I hit the enter. Now see, it's working. That's the reason I said that previously when I was working, I just gave the command previously. It was the test user who don't have the super user privilege, but this super user privilege is there with the Postgres, and now the Postgres has able to change the schema ownership. Now if I fire again the same command, it will now show that the ownership from the default Postgres has been transferred to test user. Okay, so the test user, if you see over here, UC means the test user can use the public schema and can also connect the public schema. That's what it means. Okay, and this was very important. Why I need to do this is like if I have to remove the database, or if I have to remove the table, or even if I have to remove the user, then at that point of time I need this particular privilege to be on, otherwise I won't be able to remove the stuff. Okay, and do I need to just show you the command to remove it? Okay, let me just show you a couple of more and then we'll end the video. So let's try to delete the table. Okay, we just now saw that dt, if I do, it will show you that there is a table called book, and the public, it is in the schema called public, and it's very nicely showing. So let's remove this particular book. Okay, so how will I do that? Again, there's a command called drop table, and the name of the table is called books. I hit the enter, the table is dropped. So if if I come over here, if I refresh it, I'm not supposed to see the table anymore. Yeah, great, see, the table is not there anymore, it's deleted. Refresh, the table is no longer there. That's great. So if I write /dt now, there will be no relation. Yes, exactly, there is no relation. So we have deleted the table. Can I delete the database even, the by book? Well, of course I can. Well, let's give a try. Huh? See over here, there is a, if you want to delete it, you will get two different options. One is called delete force. So I'm trying to delete this by delete force. Okay, let's see whether it's working or not. I'm not sure, because many times what happens, the resources are being used by other elements. So let's give it a try. So drop database, the name of the database is what called by book underscore db, and I want to delete with force. Okay, let's see. I hit the enter. Cannot drop currently open database. Oh yeah, I've logged into this. Sorry, it's my mistake. I've logged into the database. How can I delete it? So I need to terminate from here. So I need to connect to -c. I want to connect to, I'm not logging out directly, I'm trying to connect to Postgres database. I want to connect it. Yeah, I now connected. So without logging also you can switch. You can connect to the database. The user is the same, and I just switch to the databases. And now I'm trying to drop it. Let's see what happened this time. Yes, it says the database has been dropped. So let me right click over here. Let's refresh it to see it's actually locked or not. Yes, exactly, it has been removed. I believe over here also it's been removed. So open over here. See, it's no longer saying the book DB anymore. So with the help of this following command, you can delete the database as well. Now what remain is the user, right? So can I remove the user as well? Just a second. Well, that's what you're thinking, that can I remove the user? So I mean, if you go for display user, you will be seeing the user test. Now I am trying to delete this user. Okay, so what I will be doing is that drop. Okay, first more thing, before you delete the user may hold some resources, right? So it's a good practice that you drop whatever resources are been held by the user. So dropped owned by test user. So this will remove if any clear. Okay, let me log out and let me try out this one. Maybe because of that reason it's not working. So at time this kind of thing happens. So it's good practice to log out and log in again. So db SQL hyphen user, and the username is called Postgres, and the database name is -d, is also called Postgres. Okay, what happened? Oh, it's not D, it's P. My mistake. Sorry, I'm sorry for this. It's Postgres P. Yes, fine. It's great. So now I will try to fire this command. Database is deleted, so I'm trying to drop owned by user test. See, now it is working. This kind of weird behavior at time I have seen it does, so it's always a good practice that you log out and log in again to resolve this kind of things. Okay, and now I can delete the user. So I have removed all the element that the test user was holding, and now I can write the command called drop user, and the name of the user is called test user semicolon, and the user is drop. Really great. So if I now go and display the user list, of course I will not find that user anymore, and here it comes. Wow. Well, I know the video went a bit long, but the kind of queries that I have shown you over here, these are going to be very important, because these are very tricky kind of questions. The way I created the user, the way I've assigned the privilege, and the way I've handled other queries. Please watch the video minutely, because another striking part is there, because I was working on the a series of Python, right? So if you remember this series I was working on, here I wrote some command. So this I will show those command again. I was in day 5 where I was working on the regular expression, and day 6, right? Day 6 is going to be very challenging, because what I decided is, how do you work on Python with that of Postgres? What I mean is, how do you work with core Python with that of Postgres? Well, you can think that what a big deal. Well, the big deal would be, if you're using Django, then you know that models.py is there, where you write a class and then you go for migration, like make migration, migrate. What will happen is the class gets converted into the database table, right? But if you're working on only core Python and not in Django, how would you manage to implement ORM? So my day 6 is going to be a packed schedule, where I will be showing how to create ORM in core Python, so that the data that you are taking from user input into Python with the help of ORM, with the help of copy2, you pass it to Postgres. And I'm very sure you would love to watch that particular video. Okay, and over here, as you can see, I have got a lot of things, DB connections, and how to create table, like model is there, how to create table, how to perform insert tuple, how to perform retrieve tuple, how to perform update tuple, and how to perform delete tuple. So all the CRUD operation that makes use of ORM with that of how do you manage ORM? Well, do I need to tell the term? Well, let's keep it as a suspense, and that is what going to be the subject matter of my next videos. Okay, so stay tuned. Until then, have a nice time. Bye bye, take care.